Okay, so we are going to be doing some review of how to convert a decimal to a percent. And what I want you to notice is in the very first example, decimal to a percent, the alphabet will go forward. You see that? If you are dealing with a percent to a decimal, you're going backwards. So that is supposed to help you remember which way to count your place value. So you'll notice when I'm changing from a decimal to a percent, I moved forward 2 spaces. So this decimal place went 2 places forward. So as you can tell, when I moved it 2 places forward, I rewrote it with 0.79 decimal point, but we don't need that decimal, so our answer is 79, and we stick the percent on the end. When you are changing a percent, well, I'm going to change this to green. When I change from a percent to a decimal, I'm going to move the opposite way. So my decimal is currently right here, and it shows you in the next little bit that it moves 1 space, 2 spaces, and the decimal goes right there. So you'll notice this 15% turns into 15 hundredths, 0.15. So we're going to do a couple of problems down here, and then you're going to practice on the bottom. So these are going to be decimal to percent, decimal, let me zoom this. It's going to be decimal to percent, so it's going to move forward, which means I move it forward 1 space, 2 spaces. Well, guess what? There's no space there, so I have to add that. So that becomes 50, which is 50%. So my answer is that one. The second one is also decimal to percent. So in alphabetical order, it's going forwards. So therefore, my decimal moves forward 1 space, 2 spaces, and it will be rewritten as 2 point or 2%. So therefore, my answer is B. Okay, where did it go? Let's refresh. It's there. I can't pause these things. Wonderful. So I will do my best to look at the next problem on a piece of paper, and I will write it out. We just have to work with what we're given. Of course, I'm not given that. So let's just try this. Go out of that for a minute. Go back in that for a minute. Now it works. Good. That is a decimal to percent, so it's alphabetical. It is moving forward, D to P, A, B, C, D, E, F. It's moving forward. So I move that decimal 2 places forward. It goes right there, which changes 2.07 to 207. So 207%. Now, I'm not going to do all of the problems on the bottom. I'm just going to do a few because they may be a little tricky. I'm going to look at the one that is down here where it is a percent to decimal. So now I have to think, is that in alphabetical order? No, it's going backwards. So therefore, my decimal has to move forward 2 places. So I put my decimal there, make sure to fill in that spot, and my new number will be this. The other one that I know that could be a little tricky is when we are changing our percents to decimals here. Again, alphabetical order, it's moving backwards. My decimal is right here, so I have to move backwards 1 space, 2 space. So my new number is 1 and 49 100ths, which is 1.49. That should be a 9 here. Okay. The other one I expect you to have problems on is number 14. So this is decimal to percent. So it is alphabetically moving forward. So 1 space, 2 space. I put my decimal point there and there is no number. So I have to give it a 0, which means that this equals 10. 10%. The only other one that I ran into trouble was number 16 and number 12. So this is decimal to percent. So it's still moving forward. So 1 space, 2 spaces. Students don't want to make a percent a decimal, but it's possible. I know that you guys know that a lot of times those advertisements are saying, hey, you can get 9.9%. So that's why. So this is the one that I will be looking at to see what kind of answer you come up with. But I will be looking at all these other ones as well. So if you use this video to help or to introduce, these are ones that you should be able to figure out and check with me. Your homework, if I'm giving homework tonight, is to do the back. We did not cover fractions much, so I'm going to go ahead and fill these in. This will be 3/4. This will be 4/10. This will be 8/10. I think that's all of them. But the rest of them, you're just doing percent to decimal or decimal to percent. So you will have to think about that alphabetical order trick that I was giving you. All right. If you have questions, we'll go over it again. But I need you to give some tries.